Thank you for joining me on the Nick Walker Ministries YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please share this video with somebody. I believe that this is going to be a very brief message of hope. I do not want to keep you long, but this scripture has just been stirring in my soul. I've been working on something. I can't really tell you what I'm working on just yet, but I use this scripture in these notes that I'm taking right now. And I've told this story many times. I cannot remember the last time I told it. If you heard it, that's okay. Just hear it again and then share it with someone else maybe who would need to hear this. But I remember when I started preaching, I was 17 years old, or 16 going on 17. And I was very, my confidence in my preaching was very, very low. I didn't think I was very good at it. However, I did have some favorites. I had my favorites, of course, were Perry Stone, Jentezen Franklin, and John Hagee. And so what I would do, and maybe some of the people that heard me when I was 17, they don't know this, but and I'll never forget one time I took Jentezen Franklin's notes on a message that he preached about spiritual warfare. And I never will forget this. I preached, I'm talking, I watched his video and typed on Microsoft Word and took it to a Wednesday night church service at my church in Mullins, West Virginia, and I preached on warfare. One of the deacons of the church came up to me and he said, "Gosh, that was one of the greatest messages on warfare that I've ever heard." And I said, "Well, of course, oh, thank you very much." Of course, I had to, very humbly, and I'm sitting in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, well, it wasn't my notes, but thank you very much for listening to it. And so, but the reason I would do that is because I wasn't confident, number one, that I had the ability to deliver. Number two, I didn't have the confidence that God was speaking to me. It was something I had to grow out of very quickly. And I remember looking at my youth pastor and I said to her, well, one day I want to be the next Jentezen Franklin. I'd like to be, the next Perry Stone. In this conversation, I told her I'd like to be the next Jentezen Franklin. She looked at me for a minute with kind of this puzzled look. And I didn't understand the puzzled look because all my life, growing up an athlete, you want to be the next Michael Jordan or the next Tom Brady or Usain Bolt running track or this or that. You want to be the next great athlete or something, or political figure maybe, or something of that matter. And so for me, I wanted to be the next Jentezen Franklin. She looked at me all puzzled, and it was very common for people my age to say they wanted to be the next version of somebody else, the next duplicate. Instead, she looked at me and said something that changed my life forever, and I'm working on notes for it right now. She said, "Why don't you just want to be the first Nick Walker? We already have a Jentezen Franklin. We already have a Perry Stone. We already have a John Hagee. And if the world wanted two of them, if the world needed two of them, rather, God would make two of them. If God wanted two of them, he would make two of them. And so we don't need two of them. We need the first Nick. You don't need to be the next Jentezen. You need to be the first Nick." And that's something that stuck with me. I was 16 years old when she said it to me. And I don't know if I fully understood and grasped what she was saying until probably age 23 or 24 when I took my 6-month time off. Because I had people in my very early ministry that, of course, she said that to me in 2013, even all the way up into 2018. I wasn't taking people's notes after that. After that night, I wasn't taking any more notes. I was getting my own notes. I was, hearing from God, but I was trying to make my delivery and my dress and my hair, I was trying to make everything just like a particular minister. And I'll never forget a pastor in Bristol looked at me in Bristol, Tennessee, and we went out to lunch during the revival, and it was just he and I, and he said, "Nick, I want to tell you something." He said, "You're not Perry Stone. You're never going to be him. You're never going to be any other minister except you. You're not," he said, and he said the same thing that she did. "You're never going to be this person or that person. Stop trying to be this person. Stop trying to emulate this person and just be yourself." And when I went on that 6-month sabbatical period in 2020, I did find myself, and we all have mannerisms that emulate somebody, whether it's your parents or an athlete that you watch or someone that you listen to. We all have things that we do to emulate someone. And whoever you are under the influence of is the person that you will emulate, but you don't have to be just like that person. And so I want to read to you with that, Psalm 139. Everybody knows this. Everybody quotes this. I want to give you 3 Hebrew words that really bring this scripture to life. Psalm 139, verse 13. "For you formed my inward parts. You wove me in my mother's womb. I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That's the three words we're going to go over in just a minute. Fearfully, wonderfully, and made. And so David says, I will give thanks to you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the depths of the earth. Your eyes have seen my unformed substance, meaning God saw him before he was created in the physical. You saw my unformed substance. And in your book were all written the days that were ordained for me, when as yet there was not one of them. So what that means is he had David's days numbered and listed before David was even birthed. That is so powerful. Now, of course, we get stuck on I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, but everything before and after that is so powerful. I just wanted to, read that whole section to you. And I find that many people in our culture, especially young people in the Generation Z and in my generation and younger, and perhaps a lot of people even older than me, we're all trying to look for purpose. We're all trying to find identity. We're trying to find purpose. Why are we here? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we going where we're going? And in this pursuit of purpose, I just want to just minister to you that finding purpose outside of this is just a facade. It is fake. It is not purpose at all, because he, of course, we know that he formed us in our mother's womb. Jeremiah says that, but David says, you wove me in my mother's womb, meaning every DNA strand, every cell was intricately woven together for purpose. Now, go to this scripture, Psalm 139:13. I want to read this to you. I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, here's three Hebrew words that are just, to me, it was life-changing. The word fearfully means this: with honor and reverence. The word wonderfully means to fulfill. And the word made means to be distinguished. And so I'm going to try to read this with those Hebrew definitions. He says, I will give thanks to you, for I was made with honor and with reverence. You made me with great respect, because in Genesis 1, it says we're made in his image. So we're literally a piece of God. That's why he made you with reverence, because you're a piece of him. There's not a mistake made with you. You are very much a piece of God. So I was fearfully, for I am fearfully, or with honor and reverence. I was reverently and wonderfully, I was reverently called to fulfill. And then the word made means to be distinguished, meaning to set apart from everything else. There's only one you. There's only one of you, and nobody else can be just like you, and you can't be just like anybody else. And if you try to emulate somebody else, if you try to weave your life by the strands of somebody else and ride their coattails, you will never truly discover who you are. It's as if the Lord was saying that you and I were placed on earth with a special honor and completely set apart from anyone else to fulfill a very specific destiny that is like no one else's destiny. You have got to hear that. You have been distinguished, meaning you have been completely set apart from everybody else in your uniqueness. And we might have someone that looks like us. We might have somebody that talks like us. We might have somebody that maybe acts like us in some certain areas. But there's only one you. There's really, truly only one you. And I just want to minister that hope to you that God has given you purpose, and you will not find what you were fearfully and wonderfully made for until you dive into this. It is, what are we fearfully and wonderfully made for? To go on a journey with the one who made us, to go on an endless pursuit of Jesus. And in that, we find purpose. And in that, we find hope. And in that, we find joy. And so I just wanted to minister that to you for a moment on this Friday morning. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You were made with reverence and honor. You were made to fulfill something, and you've been set apart because nobody else can fulfill it like you can. So I speak purpose and destiny over you today, encouraging you to pursue Jesus endlessly. Run after him and find your hope in him. Find your purpose in him. Find your identity in him. Thank you guys so much for following and keeping up with Nick Walker Ministries and subscribing to our YouTube channel. We want to speak hope. We want to challenge. We want to bring people to the fullness of an encounter with Jesus that will radically change their life. We want to wake up the church. We want to save the lost. And we want to empower a generation. Everything we do centers around those missions. So thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for joining me today. Look forward to seeing you next week and in a revival near you, because revival is coming to your area. God bless you. See you next week.